You're watching an Infographics Show video about World War I when your screen starts to flicker, the room warps, time shifts, and suddenly you're in the trenches. Artillery thunders, British soldiers surround you, officers scream, and you have 24 hours to survive. Hour 1. It's the worst day in British military history, and now you are a part of it. British soldiers charge past, busy with pre-battle rituals. You're staring at the mud and slime covering your new Jordans. Slowly you look around. There are 5 other confused people in modern clothes scattered in the trench with you. A guy still holds his vape pen, staring at it like he had just taken a hit of his life. A gym bro in athletic wear checks his Apple Watch. His heart rate reads 185 BPM. An officer walks past ordering everyone to fix bayonets. Your stomach drops. You look at your watch. It says July 1st, 1916, the Battle of the Somme. Over 19,000 British soldiers will die today. Some battalions will lose 90% of their men in 10 minutes. And here you are, looking up at the parapet of the trench. The officer appears again, scanning your group with a look of disgust. He doesn't care who you are or why you're dressed like you just left the mall. He doesn't even know what a mall is. What matters to him is whether he'll have enough bodies for the next attack. Deep in the trench, your squad huddles together for the world's most stressful icebreaker session. There's Marcus, the 28-year-old gym bro who a couple seconds ago was wondering if he could actually bench those extra 2 plates. Jennifer, a 42-year-old high school history teacher, is now muttering about how ironic it is that she had literally given a pop quiz on this battle yesterday. David, the 55-year-old ex-Marine, is the only one not visibly panicking, which somehow makes it worse. He's got that 1,000-yard stare that says he knows exactly how bad this is going to get. Brittany, a 19-year-old college student, is holding her phone up like a lighter at a concert, desperately searching for even 1 bar of surface. And Carlos, a 35-year-old paramedic, is already in work mode, checking everyone for injuries. Helpful if the injuries about to happen weren't all going to be catastrophic and unsurvivable. Then there's you, the viewer, who could be watching Challenge Guy videos right now, but instead is about to be a part of a meat grinder. You're as perplexed as the rest of the squad, but there isn't time to dwell on it. Welcome to your new home. This particular beauty of a trench is 7 feet deep, perfect for standing, terrible for living. The smell is overwhelming. Death, decay, and filth bombard your senses, but you fight the urge to throw up. Rats scurry between your feet. They're the size of cats and they have zero fear of humans. One runs over Brittany's foot. She screams as a British soldier glances over casually, mentioning that the rat's name is Harold and that she shouldn't worry, he's friendly. David picks up a discarded newspaper dated June 30th, 1916. He reads aloud the headlines promising a breakthrough on the Western Front. Politicians back home assuring victory by noon. He looks at Jennifer asking how that worked out in the history books. Jennifer's voice is hollow as she recites the statistics from her pop quiz. 60,000 casualties, 20,000 dead. Before anyone has a chance to process this, the whiz and boom of an artillery shell thuds into the earth nearby. Marcus is the first to perk up, suggesting that they should surely just stay put in the trench since nobody actually signed up for this. Just then, a British sergeant appears around the corner like a doom-dispensing genie. He informs your group that you're actually in the first wave. He has an orderly hand out several rifles, heavy Lee Enfields, and suggests you try not to shoot yourselves in the maelstrom of fire about to come. He smiles and says that's the Germans' job. He nods over his shoulder and you see a big brute of a soldier, Tommy, shooting a toothless grin your way. His job is to make sure nobody decides to run the other way. Brittany's voice goes up an octave as she asks what first wave means. The sergeant just points at a ladder leading out of the trench. Over the top, he explains, 7:30 sharp. He gestures out toward no man's land and everyone climbs up onto the fire step to peer over the edge. The view from the trench shows a moonscape of craters, tattered corpses, barbed wire, and a vague outline of an enemy trench around 900 feet away. Marcus mutters that it doesn't look safe. Brittany is hyperventilating, mentioning her sorority formal next week between breaths. She tries to climb out of the back of the trench away from the fighting, but is immediately spotted by a British military police officer, or MP, who shouts something about deserters in Tommy's direction. She doesn't listen. She's over the top before anyone can react. A single shot cracks through the air and Brittany drops to the ground, dead. You reel, taking a knee as you gasp for breath, trying to process what you've just seen. The others do the same. Tommy holsters his pistol and asks if anyone else thinks they can outrun his gun. Marcus vomits, while Jennifer just stares in shock. The British shot over 300 men for cowardice during the war. David tells everyone just shut up and do what they're told, or they'll be next. As he passes, Tommy casually mentions that Brittany would have never made it anyway. Your commanding officer walks down the line shouting at everyone to fix their bayonets once more. 1 more minute to go. It's at that moment that you curse yourself. You've seen these episodes before. The Infographics Show has a huge library of content, but you had to go for the war one. Hour 2. The clock lands at 7:30 a.m. Whistles are blaring across the line. It's probably the worst alarm clock in history. Ever the consummate leaders, the officers clamber up the ladders first. They'll die first, stiff upper lip and all that. Sergeant's hollering at everybody to move, physically pushing his squad toward the ladders. You have 2 choices now. You can either climb into the unknown or get shot for cowardice. You choose to climb. When you reach the top of the ladder, you take your first step into no man's land. Your first thought is, oh! Your next thought is, oh no! British artillery has been pounding German lines for 7 straight days. 1.7 million artillery shells fired straight over your head and into the enemy's front line. The next part of the plan is pretty simple: eviscerate everything by the constant bombardment. Then all you have to do is waltz across no man's land and occupy the German trenches. What could go wrong? It turns out, a lot. German soldiers are hiding in concrete dugouts 40 feet underground, playing cards, smoking, and waiting. When they hear the whistles, they'll grab their machine guns and aim them straight at you. Marcus climbs up right behind you, standing fully upright as he looks around confused. Just as he starts to ask where the Germans are hiding, the staccato of machine gun fire fills no man's land. German MG-08s fire 450 rounds per minute. Marcus never gets to finish his question. His body jerks backward, falling into the trench with a sickening, wet, sucking sound. His Apple Watch is still recording. His heart rate is reading 0 BPM. 4 survivors remain. You've now been officially over the top for all of 15 seconds. Hour 3. The orders were pretty clear. You were supposed to walk slowly across no man's land in neat lines. British officers seem very concerned about proper military bearing while being shot. But orders are one thing, reality is another. People are just running around, screaming. Some are praying and cowering. British soldiers are falling like dominoes. You are running fast. You jump over bodies, some are still moving, reaching out for help while they bleed out. You can't stop, that means dying. A shell explodes nearby, dirt flies through the air. The concussion throws you sideways. You land in a crater half filled with water. Your world spins, sounds merging together. For a brief moment, time seems to slow. And then, Jennifer, Carlos, and David all land in the same crater as you. Jennifer screams, snapping you back to reality. 3 dead British soldiers lie just feet from you. How long have they been dead, you wonder? Carlos checks the pulse of one of the soldiers. David just stares at him. The guy's been dead for 3 days, and pulse checking is pointless. German machine gun fire clacks overhead. It sounds like an angry hornet's nest, only louder and far more fatal. You and the rest of the team are stuck in this crater for over an hour. Nobody is brave enough to get up and leave the safety of cover. It's not long before the German artillery opens up. Carlos peeks over the crater rim and immediately slumps down. His face is pale. He says that you need to get back to the original trench if you hope to live. David tries to warn him, but Carlos is already standing, volunteering to go first. At that very moment, a shell lands 5 feet away. You close your eyes and the blast rattles around in your skull as it sweeps over the crater, along with the wave of whizzing shrapnel. When you open your eyes, Carlos is gone. Not dead, gone. There's a new crater where Carlos was standing. Nothing recognizable remains. Jennifer is screaming, and David pulls you both down, ordering everybody to stay low. 3 survivors remain. Hour 5. You hide out in the crater waiting for the shelling to stop. It simply doesn't. It is relentless, so against your better judgment, you decide to crawl back toward the British trench. It takes 45 minutes to crawl 300 feet. Along the way, you pass British soldiers still dying from the first wave attack. One is missing both legs and somehow still is conscious and begging for help. David pulls you forward, explaining you can't help him. You keep crawling, trying to block out the screams. You know that you'll hear those screams in your nightmares, if you survive, that is. You make it back to the trench. The other 2 flop in low over the parapet, and all 3 of you are praying that Tommy hasn't seen you. Hour 6. The British sergeant appears and looks you up and down. You hold your breath, waiting for a tirade. Instead, he's quiet. He knows that the whole attack was a mistake. As he departs, he casually mentions that you'll try again in around a few hours. Jennifer's voice breaks as she begins to sob. She can't believe they're actually going to send everyone out again. The sergeant just turns back and shrugs, muttering something about orders from 4th Army. He assures her that his superiors are still confident in a breakthrough coming today. David just laughs. It's a dark, hollow sound. He mentions that they just sent 6 or 7 waves of men. You manage to ask how many made it. David just gestures at no man's land, where bodies carpet the landscape. Some are still moving, but most are still. You've somehow managed to survive for 6 hours. Congratulations. Hour 8. The new order to charge comes in. You've barely had time to kit up with some old gear lying around, replacing your filthy waterlogged Jordans and jeans for some canvas fatigues and old boots. The whistles blow again. You clamber to the top, back into the same hell you lived before. Only this time it was slightly worse because now there are more bodies to trip over. The German machine guns haven't let up either. Unlike you, they're not tired and they don't need bathroom breaks. You, David, and Jennifer make it 90 feet this time. You're all diving between shell craters trying to find cover as you go. Jennifer lands beside you. She is covered in mud, panting under her shallow tin pot helmet. She can't believe you made it this far, and for the first time she actually believes you might make it out of this. She should have known better. Right on cue, a German artillery shell lands between you and her. The explosion is deafening. You're thrown backward, ears ringing, covered in mud. David scrambles to you, hauling you to your feet. He asks where Jennifer is. You look around, finding her 20 feet away. What's left of her anyway? Her lower half is missing, and she's still alive, but not for long. It takes about 30 seconds. Watching her go is the longest 30 seconds of your life. Only you and David, the ex-Marine, remain. You crawl back to the trench somehow. You don't remember all the details. Shock is a hell of a drug. David tries to tell you there's no shame in going back. The attacks were always doomed from the start, and you were on borrowed time anyway. Maybe if you go, you'll wake up in your old life, like some sort of sadistic simulation. You barely even hear him, you just stare straight ahead. Hour 10. The British trench now resembles a slaughterhouse because it is one. Wounded soldiers are everywhere. They're missing limbs, their faces are bloody, medics are completely overwhelmed. There is not anywhere near enough morphine, or bandages, or hope. A soldier with a devastating stomach wound is begging to be shot. Nobody can bear to do it. Instead, they just close their eyes and try to block out his screams. He dies eventually. It takes 2 hours. A British orderly walks by with a casualty list. You see it over his shoulder. Casualties are so far approaching 40,000. The dead are hovering around 15,000, and that number is only gonna climb. Hour 12. David is talking to a shell-shocked soldier. He mentions the Newfoundland Regiment's attack at Beaumont-Hamel. 800 men went over the top. Only 68 answered the roll call an hour later. That is 90% casualties in 30 minutes. You glance at your watch, still working despite the new mud-themed accessories. Not long until another wave is set to go over the top. Hour 13. By now, you have stopped feeling fear. It's replaced by numbness and hopelessness. This is your life now, running toward the sound of German machine guns. It is the worst CrossFit workout imaginable, and the penalty for failure is death. You and David are pinned down in yet another crater when both of you see something strange in the sky at the edge of the lip. It looks like a yellow-green cloud. You shudder and David curses as he says something that sounds like chlorine gas. Hour 14. Screams erupt along the British line. Gas warnings are now echoing through the craters. British soldiers begin grabbing masks, little more than flannel bags with big glass eyepieces. The problem is, you don't have a mask. A British soldier throws you his spare, shouting instructions to urinate on your scarf and wrap it around your face for good measure. He screams that it helps. Anything is better than raw lungs. It's not your proudest moment, but it is better than drowning in your own fluids. David does the same. The gas rolls over your position. It's thicker than you thought it would be. A British soldier 10 feet away has no mask or urine-soaked scarf. He starts to choke, falling to his knees. He is now drowning on dry land. His face turns blue-gray. He claws at his throat, and he dies in 3 minutes flat. You watch the whole thing. You can't help him, and yet you can't look away. Hour 16. You're somehow back in your original trench. You and David are still alive. You're both covered in mud and blood, not all yours, and urine, definitely yours. The British sergeant appears, mentioning one more push at dusk. You laugh, David laughs, you're both laughing, in a trench filled with corpses. A British soldier looks at you like you're insane. At this point, you probably are. It's a reasonable response in this situation. Hour 18. The sun sets as you go over the top for the 4th time. This one felt more impromptu, like a last-minute suggestion rather than a set order from on high. It's golden hour in France, and it would be beautiful if not for all the death and destruction. You and David set off on a dead sprint together. He is keeping you alive, his military experience showing with every micro decision. He's calling out instructions as he goes. Stay low, move fast, don't stop, get to that log. You're making actual progress. David spots a gap in the German wire, urging you forward through the opening. A German soldier rises from a shell crater ahead, rifle lifting. David fires first and the German drops dead. David keeps moving, covering angles and scanning for threats. Only when you're behind partial cover does he pause, just for a second to catch his breath. He breathes heavily, a reminder that he's been out of service for close to 25 years. His hands are shaking slightly, barely noticeable but shaking nonetheless. He mutters something about how the dead German was just a kid. You're the one to tell him that you both need to move this time. He nods, then his head snaps back at the exact same time as a sharp crack. David collapses forward into the mud. A sniper round has pierced his forehead. David is gone. His legs buckle and you slump to the ground instinctually. You slam your face down into the mud, heart hammering hard. You don't move, you don't cry, you just listen. Hour 20. Another crack. A bullet kicks up dirt inches from your head. A correction shot. The sniper is ranging you. You roll across the crater, dragging David's rifle toward you. You peek just enough to see the glint. Barely there, a fraction of light from a ruined farmhouse on a hill. The sniper is dug in, comfortable, and willing to wait for you. You fumble with the rifle and fire once, semi-blindly. It's all in desperation. The shot goes nowhere close. And that's when it hits you. There is simply no way you could outrange him, outshoot him, outrush him, or outlast him. Darkness has descended over no man's land, and that is when you decide you're not moving another inch forward. You sit it out, the sniper fire, the artillery, the machine guns as long as you can, right here until you feel good and ready to move. Hour 23. It's just before 7:30 a.m., 23 hours down. The sun starts to rise. You wait for another flare and then crawl backward, agonizingly low to the earth, using shell holes and bodies and anything else as cover. Every inch now feels like an eternity. For almost an hour, you crawl across no man's land. And then you see it, the British wire. You are so close. Relief washes over you. You just need to keep going. A flare goes up behind you. Instinct takes over. You move when the light changes. This is your chance. You force yourself up. You sprint. You're almost there. The British soldiers urge you forward, panic etched on their faces. And then you hear a crack. At the exact same moment, the world flickers, colors begin to shift, and something slams into your back, hurling you forward. You land face first in the mud. Pain blooms white and blinding. You wheeze for breath. You almost made it, the full 24 hours. You can feel the sun on your face as you close your eyes. When you open them, you're lying on the carpet, your dog's licking your face. You're suddenly back in your living room, heart racing, hands still shaking, and very much confused. You get to your feet and you look around. Your computer screen is still on. You see another Infographics Show video in your recommended feed. Why you wouldn't survive 24 hours in World War II. You shouldn't click it. You know you shouldn't, but you do anyway. The room dissolves as you hear the familiar crack of German machine guns. Now go check out 50 insane World War I facts that will shock you, or click on this video instead.